What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of the Forgotten Race Review. Today's race comes to us at the request of one of my patrons, one of my best friends in the whole world, Joseph Harvilla, the Yaddithian, who come to us from the vast depths of outer space and also Bestiary 6. As always, this channel is directly supported by patronage, and patronage is the #1 way to help this channel do bigger, better, more awesome things. If you'd be interested in helping us out on our quest to be super awesome, the link is in the description. Today, this episode of the Forgotten Race Review was brought to you by Joseph Harvilla. Joe, thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for having me look up this really weird race that I hadn't really thought about, just kind of flipped over through it in Bestiary 6, oh, that's weird, and then kept going. And one more thing before we get started, I am happy to announce that this Thursday, there will be a new episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit. We're going to continue the class optimization stuff, and this week we'll be talking about one of my favorite classes, the Magus. I'm super stoked to get it out there for you guys. Stay tuned. But enough about min-maxy stuff, let's dive into some lore. The Yaddithians are a minor race from the Cthulhu mythos appearing in through the gates of the Silver Key. They are part of a small minority of aliens who aren't actually hostile or even particularly, mind-rending. In Through the Gates of the Silver Key, they are described as such. Without definite intention, he was asking the presence for access to a dim, fantastic world whose 5 multicolored suns, alien constellations, dizzy black crags, taper-snouted denizens, bizarre metal towers, unexplained tunnels, and cryptical floating cylinders had intruded again and again upon his slumbers. He was, as many a night before, walking amidst throngs of clawed, snouted beings through the streets of a labyrinth of inexplicably fashioned metal under a blaze of diverse solar color. As he looked down, he saw that his body was like those of the others, rugose, partially squamous, and curiously articulated in a fashion mainly insect-like, yet not without a caricaturish resemblance to the human outline. The official name of the Yaddithian is sometimes given as the Nugsoth, and they are stated as having traits similar to mammals, reptiles, and insects. Originally a peaceful race of scholars and sorcerer scientists, their homeworld was devastated by the Bowls, which we have in Bestiary 4, and the survivors scattered across the galaxy. Pathfinder's Bestiary 6 tells pretty much the same story. The Yaddithians are an ancient race of scholarly starfarers. Bowls consumed their home planet long ago, and the survivors fled to other worlds across the universe. The Yaddithian that appears in Bestiary 6 is CR8, and Paizo does note that it is rare to find a Yaddithian less powerful than the 9th level wizard they present in Bestiary 6. That, however, is all the lore and all the flavor text that Paizo gives us for these guys, and that's kind of disappointing because before I looked a little farther into these guys, I kind of just thought they were weird dudes with taper noses. I do enjoy the Elder Mythos, but I don't know it all off the top of my head or have it all written on the back of my hand, and thus I had no idea these guys came from the Mythos. I just assumed they lived on Triaxis or Achilles or some other planet in Galerion's solar system. I've been bemoaning recently how we don't have enough races from the Elder Mythos aside from the super ugly looking deep one, and it's nice to find somebody else from the Mythos drift over into the world of Pathfinder, though certainly I would love a little bit of expanded lore on these guys. And since now we're out of lore, let's dive into the stat block. Yaddithians receive a +2 to their constitution and intelligence, but a -2 to their wisdom. They are medium aberrations with a base land speed of 20 feet. They have dark vision up to 60 feet and cold resistance 5, as well as a little fun ability called No Breath. The Yaddithian does not need to breathe and is consequently immune to attacks that require breathing, such as inhaled poisons, which means they can also hang out in the void of space or swim under the depths of the ocean. Yaddithians have 2 claw attacks that deal 1d4 points of damage each, and a +1 natural armor bonus. In addition, the Yaddithian have a couple other special abilities that make them really unique and really powerful. First off, Cosmic Mind gives a Yaddithian a +2 racial bonus on all knowledge checks and spellcraft checks. A Yaddithian spellcaster who would store spells in a spellbook or familiar instead stores those spells directly in their mind, but of course must expend the normal resources to learn new spells. So yeah, your witch doesn't need a fox to follow it around, and you don't have to lug all those super heavy spellbooks around anymore. Just read the scroll, put it in the depository in the old noggin, and you're good to go. In addition, the Yaddithians have an ability called Long Lived. Yaddithians live for thousands of years, they gain no benefit or penalty from aging, and are immune to magical aging effects. Now, this isn't just straight up immortality, but it might as well be unless your game's going to last thousands of years, and I guess in an all Yaddithian party it very well might. Other than that, though, this takes all the power of immortality and the bonuses to your mental stats that come with it away in return for flavor, and it's kind of, we'll take it, I guess. A Yaddithian begins play speaking its native tongue, Yaddithian. Those with high intelligence scores can choose any language as a bonus language, which is, I think, how all of the races should be. And just to drive the point home about any language for the Yaddithian, in his stat block, a Yaddithian speaks Aklo, Elder Thing, Migo, Yaddithian, and Yithian. Or, he speaks Elder Mythos. These guys are obviously alien in the extreme, and thus I don't really know how I'd play them. Obviously, playing something like a witch or a shaman that has to commune with a familiar or spirit animal to receive its spells becomes a little more powerful here because the familiar is just kind of there, in this case, to be a pet. You don't store your spells in your familiar, you don't have to commune, they are in your noggin. By that same notion, a Yaddithian wizard, magus, or arcanist can never have their spellbook taken away without, something like dissecting their brain and pulling the spellbooky parts out. So a wizard or witch who takes skew materials is thus never robbed of their ability to spellcast if they get captured. We can't drown, so if we're going to be on an aquatic adventure, this guy makes just as good of a race to play as any amphibious race. He can just put all his ranks in swim and be just as well off as something like a merfolk, maybe a little slower, but be able to move around on land as well. By that same notion, if we're playing a game that might eventually go to space, and that does happen in Pathfinder, Pathfinder does have books for that, a Yaddithian doesn't have to worry about the cold vacuum of space sucking all the air out of his lungs because, there are no lungs for the air to be sucked out of. All in all, though, I think this race needs a lot more extra flavor that we just don't see here. I understand that a 9th level wizard needs a pretty big stat block because there's a lot of stuff going on, but I really wish we had a little more flavor, like where on Galarion these guys live, how they function as adventurers. I flipped through Strange Eons, they don't appear there. Distant Worlds and People of the Stars also turn up a blank. And also to cross-reference a little bit, Starfinder's Alien Archive doesn't seem to have them either. Perhaps they'll appear in the back of one of the Starfinder adventure paths, or maybe Alien Archive 2. But for now, all we have is speculation. So, hey, Paizo, if you're listening to me right now, please, can we have more information on races like the Yaddithian, who only get a little tiny bit of lore in the bestiary, because that's what makes these races tick, what makes them jump off the paper, what makes them come alive and not just be that thing I'm swimming through the stars with. So now I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Have you played a Yaddithian or anything as alien as a Yaddithian before? Would you play one, or have you GM'd for a player who wanted to play a race so esoteric that it only has just a little tiny bit of lore? If so, throw it in the comments below. As always, we'll keep the conversation going. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. The next episode of the Forgotten Race Review, where we cover another classic, the Azamar, drops next Monday.